What's going on, Sooner Nation? So, if you guys have been on the social medias the past couple of days or over the weekend, you have seen that the Oklahoma Sooners have now given some of their 2026 targets, 2026 recruits that they're going after, the graphics or the videos that they're putting out to announce their official visit weekend that they will be coming to Oklahoma for. And there was one in particular, a potential 5-star linebacker that set a date to come to the University of Oklahoma. And I'm going to use the word set pretty loosely because we've seen guys like Bryant Wesco set a date to come to Oklahoma, end up at Clemson, and not take the visit to Oklahoma. But no, seriously, though, on a real note, got a visit scheduled, followed up with a couple people before I came back home from Broken Bow this weekend. Yeah, we got to talk about it, y'all. It's interesting. Before we do that, though, as always, I want to hear from y'all, so make sure you join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like, hit the subscribe button. This content is completely free to you. All you have to do is hit the subscribe. 68% of you guys that watch these videos, you keep coming back, but you're not subbed. So again, it's free. All you got to do is subscribe. We're going to be keeping you guys up to date with all the recruiting content all off season long. We have recruiting interviews lined up. I think Mason James is one of our next ones. So you guys aren't going to want to miss it. So make sure you're subbed right here. But today we got to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners' latest 5-star endeavor or 5-star pursuit. Yes, it just never ends for the University of Oklahoma. And in a season where Oklahoma really needs to go out there and have a really strong linebacker class, they get an official visit date set from a 5-star linebacker. And they also had huge news from this 5-star linebacker as well. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this up on the screen for you. And bear with me here, guys, because you guys know I'm terrible with pronouncing names. So we're going to hope we can get his name right. But it's Talanoa Talanoa Illy, I think that's how you say it, or Ely, I think that's how you say it, out of Orange County, California, out of Orange Lutheran High School, coming in at 6'3", 250 pounds, included Oklahoma's top 7. You see BYU, Oregon, Texas, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, UCLA, and USC. Now, obviously, when I saw this, I saw that he had an official visit scheduled with Oklahoma for June 6th. I had to kind of ask a couple people, hey, like, this dude kind of like wasn't really on my radar in terms of guys that I thought Oklahoma could go out there and get and land this cycle. Oklahoma's in the top 7, right? What's the odds? What are realistically the odds? And I know that's what y'all want to hear too. The way it was put to me was this kid's probably going to stay on the West Coast. And they didn't say whether a school like BYU is actually going to be a threat in this recruitment, but he said schools like Texas, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, even with kind of money being thrown out there, they just probably aren't going to be as in a driver's seat. Now, obviously, I think it's important to note that he did visit Oklahoma on November 2nd of last year. It's important to note that. But he's been to USC 5 times. He's been to UCLA 6 times. He's been to Oregon 3 times. Those are 3 schools in his top 7. And so when you look at it and someone tells you this kid's probably going to stay on the West Coast, I think a lot of that starts to really add up here. But regardless, for Oklahoma to be able to potentially go out there and grab a kid of this stature or even be included in the top 7, I think is really, really big, because he's a guy that, when you go read Greg Briggens' scouting report, he says a guy that could potentially play off the edge, play in space, drop it and cover. So this would be a guy that would be a perfect cheetah for Brent Venables, and I would imagine that is the way they're trying to sell it to him. But they clocked him at a 20.2 miles per hour on the Catapult GPS on September 28th when the Lancers played Chandler, Arizona. Listen, they think that this guy has a really high ceiling and just kind of checks all the boxes for what you're looking for as a linebacker. And again, I think Oklahoma and what Brent Venables would want to do with him as in terms of playing him as a cheetah could be potentially very interesting. But again, asked around, again, it was put as a Oklahoma might not have as good of a shot, I think, as a lot of people want to believe. He hasn't even been to Oklahoma this year. He's been to UCLA on November 30th, Oregon on January 25th, UCLA on January 30th, and then USC on February 1st. Now, the good news here is USC's probably not getting 2 5-star linebackers in this class, and they already have Xavier Griffin committed in their cycle. So the intriguing thing would be here is, does USC end up kind of letting go of Xavier Griffin? We obviously know Oklahoma has some ties there. He's the number 1 linebacker in this class. Could they go out there and get a guy like that? Or, or does Ely end up shocking everybody and going to a place like UCLA or BYU? Obviously, Oregon being on the West Coast, they could probably check a lot of boxes between NIL dollars and being able to keep him there closer to home anyways. But he's going to be there on the June 6th weekend, where Oklahoma's really starting to shape up and get a lot of people. You got Rylan Morris going to be on campus, Tavian Branch. And this is interesting because June 6th is not the Champ U barbecue weekend. June 6th is just, I guess, going to be a really big official visit weekend. I'm sure they're going to put a theme behind it at some level. But you've got quite a few visitors wanting to come in there. So looking at linebacker recruiting for Oklahoma, because I think this is probably going to be the most intriguing, one of the most intriguing positions for Oklahoma in the 2026 cycle, because I think they really have to go out there and reload, and I think they're going to go out there and have to take probably 3 linebackers, maybe 2 if they get 2 really solid ones. Like if you get Ely, and then you go out there and get a guy like Ja'Cory Smith or somebody like that, you probably don't need to take 3. But kind of looking at the linebacker position, who Oklahoma could go out there and grab. We made a video about Braxton Lindsey the other day. I love him as a dynamic athlete. I think this is the guy that you got to get on campus just to see kind of what maybe he can do for you, right? And, maybe if he plays linebacker for you, great. If he ends up playing wide receiver, great. But you got a guy like Sinceri Johnson, Braden Rouse. You've got Ja'Cory Smith. You have a recent offer of, I believe it's Isaiah Williams, the 6'1.5", 215-pound linebacker out of Traverse, Florida. You got obviously Anthony Davis Jr., which I think he's going to end up being a package deal with Tyler Atkinson. They both go to the same school. There's a lot of dudes here. DJ Ackerson, who's being recruited right now by Brandon Hall. But Oklahoma's got a couple targets here. So I think they could really hopefully line up a solid linebacker class. And the good news is this is what you get Wes Goodwin for. Wes Goodwin has done a very good job at recruiting linebackers paired with Brent Venables and not paired with Brent Venables. Remember, he did stuff Brent Venables in a locker for Sammy Brown. So this is what you pay him to do. You pay the big bucks to Wes Goodwin to go out here and get you these linebackers, top-tier talent, but obviously getting an official visit for Ely in the summer, it's going to be absolutely huge. And I believe Oklahoma gets to make the first impression. So he's going to go from Oklahoma to Notre Dame to Texas to USC and to Oregon. I think Oregon will be his last official visit. So, it's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens here. But yeah, guys, jump in the comments below. Join the discussion. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like, hit the subscribe button. We want you to be a part of the community talking recruiting content all off season long. But until next time, Boomer.